This 1934 Gibson L-5 came in this week, and there's a few different issues that we need to address. This fingerboard was actually replaced, and part of the problem was the curvature on the original bridge no longer matched the fingerboard. But anyway, we're going to correct that, and I'll walk you through that step by step. This is the original bridge here. So I fabricated this replacement bridge. Now, the reason I did that was when I took that tracing off the fingerboard curvature, the original bridge did not match. I mean, it wasn't even close. So what I've done is I'm making a replacement bridge, and that's what I'm starting with, a perfect match on the curvature, and that's where we're going with this. So we've got our blank. Now I'll cut in the values for the intonation. We've got a beautiful fit on that nut blank. All right, this is the wrap-up on this 1934 Gibson L-5. Man, there's a lot of geometry that we need to discuss here. The fingerboard was replaced expertly, I might add. Not too sure who did it, but they did an awesome job. What I did find was the fingerboard curvature did not match the bridge curvature. And this can really cause pandemonium. If the radius is a lower radius than the fingerboard, then you end up hiking up the bridge to get the middle two strings to play clearly. Then subsequently the outside four strings will be too high. And this plays havoc with the intonation as well. So I did not want to alter the original bridge. Still have the original bridge there. Now you can see I've got my self-adjusting radius gauge there with the foam. You've seen this in my other videos, just to verify a perfect match to the fingerboard radius, and that has done wonders for the intonation. Now, in fabricating this new bridge, for those of you that have seen the video on the Jacques Favino bridge, you'll see that first and foremost, I made the bridge blank so that it was a perfect match to the fingerboard radius. Like the Favino bridge, there's a minimum amount of contact, very shallow notch all the way across. So this guitar is tuned concert pitch, of course, 13 to 56 strings. The action now is beautiful, plays like a dream, and the compensated nut is intonated for those 13 to 56 strings. The frets were also dressed just ahead of the neck to body junction. It drops off a little bit towards the bridge, which is ideal actually, then you don't get that proverbial ski jump that you've seen in all those other videos. For the most part, this neck to body angle is perfect, but there's a couple of other things I want to point out. When you look carefully at the foot of the bridge, you can see that the treble foot is quite a bit thicker than the bass foot of the bridge. That bridge is tilted like that to compensate for the fact that the neck is actually tilted up this way. Just a little bit, and that's why you've got that thicker treble foot. Building that bridge was a bit of a geometry lesson, because ultimately what you want to do is create the optical illusion. At a glance, the bridge just looks like a normal bridge. The frets are done now, final buff. We talked about this in other videos, how the actual spacing of the strings is actually logarithmic. Center to center is not the same. What we're after is we want the space between the strings to be the same all the way across, and that's what I did on this. It's 387 thou from the outside diameter of one string to the outside diameter of the adjacent string, and that gives us a nice even feel for the right hand all the way across. Very light notch in the tip of that saddle. Ultimately you want the bottom third of the outside diameter of the string to kind of sit in a very shallow pocket. The other concern I had was the feet were not contacting the arch of the top intimately. I managed to get perfect contact on both feet, front and back, across that arch, and that's made a huge difference to the sound of the guitar. It was Lloyd Loehr that introduced this whole concept of building a guitar like a cello. And this was the first guitar worldwide that actually had F-holes cut in the top. The top and back are carved and tuned, just like you'd build a cello. So from 1922 to 1934, this guitar was built with a 16-inch lower bout. In 1934, they started making the 17-inch lower bout, but this one is a 1934, and it is a 16-inch lower bout. So this is definitely one of the last ones made. 1934, Gibson L-5. You see that beautiful Gibson headstock detail. A couple of nasty cigarette burns there, but hey, everybody was smoking back then. Some back detail. It's actually not book matched, but it's a beautiful, beautiful curly maple back. Lovely finish. The neck is big leaf curly maple. It's also not book matched, but who cares? It's gorgeous. A lot of the finish, as you can see, is worn off. So there was a center strip of ebony, and then 2 pieces of big leaf curly maple. Extremely stable neck. And it does have an adjustable truss rod, and it works. I'm sure they took care of that when they changed the fingerboard. This is one of the characteristics of the early Gibsons. They had that tapered headstock, very thin at the top and getting gradually thicker as it works towards the neck. A good idea structurally as well, but quite elegant. There's another view of that back. Yeah, this guitar has been played, no question about it, but you know, all the structural stuff, it's all there. Now that the fingerboard and bridge radius are matched and it's intonated, it plays beautifully. Gorgeous voice.